ironic to me because of the events that have happened, right? So Dreamville decided to get with the legendary, the one, the legendary producer DJ Drama. Now let me tell you, DJ Drama has done Wayne dedications, Bryson Tiller mixtapes. He is a legend of mixtapes, and as he says in his song, they say to me like I'm an OG. He has put many years into making mixtapes, and this mixtape in particular, I don't think a lot of people expect it. Dreamville did something that I think is remarkable with DJ Drama, and so there's a small snippet of this going around where people are trying to figure out like what what is DJ Drama going to do with the Dreamville, because you hear those legendary DJ Drama trumpets. And then we have the mixtape called DDAY, which I'm happy about, but I'm also happy that Dreamville put it on streaming services. So you can go listen to DDAY without having to go through all the old parameters and like jumps we had to do to listen to mixtapes. This mixtape has Cozz, Reason. It has a lot of different people on it. It has Cozz, Reason. It has Lute. It has Omen. It has a lot of different people. It has Boss. It has the legendary ASAP Ferg. And that's amazing by itself, right? Because hearing J. Cole on the track is amazing, right? Like, we've got one of these J. Cole tracks. So the second one was amazing. And we're going to talk about all of these. But real quick, let's see if we have any sponsors.
Chegou a melhor parte do podcast. É hora de provar a melhor Coca-Cola. A Coca-Cola sem açúcar. O sabor irresistível da Coca-Cola, sem açúcar e igualmente refrescante. Coca-Cola sem açúcar. A melhor escolha.
Okay, so there is like a few things I want to clear up before we get into this. Before we get into this mixtape called the D-Day mixtapes, and I think this is very special to me because I'm a huge J. Cole fan. So I think without getting another project, because he said he was gonna drop another project, he was gonna drop a few projects before he dropped his last project. So I think this was probably the better way to go, because it's called D-Day a Gangsta Grills, right? And so this mixtape has 15 songs. We have Earth Gang, we have Boz, we have Luke, we have Aerialetics in 2 of these songs. We have Cozz in this song. We have Aerialetics again. We have Luke. We have Boz. We have ASAP Ferg. We have we have Omen. We have Cozz. We have the legendary J. Cole Heaven's EP, right? Overall, I think this is kind of the best lineup overall for, I think, a song we're ever going to get. So, we're almost there. We're almost there to Dreamville Festival. So, DJ Drama starts it off in a song called Stick, where he talks about, we're talking about festivals. Let's stop playing with Dreamville. Like they don't run the rap game, because Dreamville runs the rap game right now. It's hard to find another. It's hard to find another camp where you have 3 or 4 artists you can really enjoy what they rap about. Now, I do want to clarify 2 things before I get into this whole Dreamville thing. The first thing I want to acknowledge, and I kind of do want to say this, I don't promote violence. I have a thing where I just don't promote it. Like, I don't promote violence in any form, any fashion. If there's something, we can probably handle it with words. Like, we can handle this in a discussion. DJ Drama goes and says on the 5th, on the starting 5, where it has JID. It has a lot of people on there. He says, "Keep playing with the Dreamville. Keep playing with Dreamville name, and we go and get and don't get rocked like Chris rocked out of his boots." And I want to explain this to you. I don't condone violence, but there are certain situations where we don't actually get a lot of. This has been in the news, but this has also been publicized on a lot of different apps, which I think is a plus, but it also has its negatives about it. But since that was a discussion nationally wise, I just wanted to put that out. I don't support violence, but DJ Drama mentions it in the song, and so I'm gonna really talk about the other songs that are 15 in this track. So the first song I'm gonna talk about is "Stick," where JID says hold my gun," and he does it for a chorus. And then we get Kitty Mason, where he just talks about hold the stick, and he keeps rhyming the word stick with drama. He just keeps, every time he gets the verse or a chorus, he just rhymes stick, and then he does that. But then we get J. Cole, where he says a lot of people are thirsty for clout. God never forsaken me, and I think this is coming more clear that in J. Cole's lyrics, he's really being he's very thankful for the opportunity he has been getting in rap and being able to make it in rap, because a lot of people don't. He says, and this is a funny line to me personally, because it says that his money is so long he starts in the South and ends in Portland. Like, that's a lot of money. But that's also a lot of miles. So it's clever. But I think J. Cole over the years, he has come more wiser when he sold his bike for his when he sold his Range Rover for his bike. We saw that. Like, he decided to take normal route transportation, which I think is a lot of celebrities don't do. They go, "Oh, I'm making more money. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go bigger than what I'm doing." And he says he has more people than Richard Paul, and I don't think a lot of people understand the the I don't want to say the concept of Richard Paul, or Rich Paul is what he's called. I think, and I think a lot of people don't understand. He he's an agent. He's an agent, but he does mostly Cleveland like basketball things. He's basically a scout. He's a scout, but he's rare. Like, and I think he's saying it because a lot of basketball players are shooters, which I get it. But so I just want to clear up. He's a basketball recruit from Cleveland. So he when he says more shooters than Richard Paul, and I found out a lot of people were like, who's Richard Paul? I understood what he was saying, but what was who was Richard Paul? Richard Paul is just, yeah. So he's been recruiting for a lot of years. So I just wanted to point that out when he says he has repping more shooters than Richard Paul, which I think is funny to me because, while it's kind of true, I think we understand that a lot of people, I think a lot of people will miss that line and they won't understand it. And then we get to Like Wine by Lute. And he says he has a flow like wine. Half of the time I'm out of line. So half of the words I'm saying or half of the verses I spit, I'm mostly out of line, depending on if that's family. He's not really clear on that situation. But, sometimes you say too much that you shouldn't say. And then I guess someone told him he was in the top 4 probably of rappers, upcoming rappers. And he was like, and he just says, I think I'm better than that, right? I think I'm better than that. I think I'm better than the top 3. Which is a good mentality to have for a lot of rappers, because a lot of rappers come into the game with that mentality. And then he says, I was better off lying. And then he says, I was better off lying. Because a lot of rappers, or artists in general, make more money if they rap about songs that they know will get them like higher ratings on certain billboards or certain charts. If I rap about something I ain't really about. And it's been done many times in rap where people don't rap about what their real life experiences are, and you'll see them go top 1, top 2 on a billboard, And then he says, and then he it's not really a line. He just says he does vice versa, like TD Jakes, and it's funny to me because TD Jakes has done a lot of different things, and I think he was a pastor. He's a movie director. TD Jakes has done a lot of work, so I like that. I like that reference. And then he says a lot of people don't know my plate, and that's true. A lot of people, I think, assume that rappers make X amount of money, but I think if we break it down to advances, what goes into music videos, what goes into funding, what goes into a lot of people, a lot of people don't know what a lot of rappers end up going through. Rap wise, I don't think a lot of people do. And DJ Drama ends it with saying, "We're at war," and I think that's funny. And he's been running this game, and it's amazing to look at it. But DJ Drama has been running the game, has been running the mixtape game since Lil Wayne got it in 2000. And we are in 2022. That is amazing for a 2-decade run. I think there's very few producers that have been able to do it. Like Dupree has been able to do it with some albums, with R&B. But there are very few people that are able to do it. So I find that clever. We also are going to talk about J. Cole's speech where Drama says, "You know what it is," and then he switches up the flow. And I think, I think J. Cole's verse on this is like a spin of like Neo's kind of verse where he goes, "She got her own," right? Because he says she booked her own flight, and I got oysters on my plate, which I find that's funny, right? Because they rhyme, but I think because every time I hear J. Cole go, "She booked her own flight," I hear that Neo, "She got her own," yeah, like she got her own, like that little Neo kind of thing to that kind of rock to him. He says access to 5 stars, and he messes with a lot of different women, but he says he just prefers this African American girls now, which I think I cannot remember, but I believe J. Cole is married, I believe, but he says, mess with. I want to mess with African American women, and there's some women that believe they had their chance with me, but now he just knocked that chance off, which I think is a funny thing to say because J. Cole. I think everyone has a type, but I don't think J. Cole's ever out publicly said his type, so I think that's hilarious to find out. And then he says, "I go against the mob." He think he hot, but it said he's flop. So I don't know who this is directed at, right? Because I know J. Cole has been in limited beats, but I think I know who this is because he made a comment saying that he makes more, that he sells more than the people that are around him, and I think that was Jordan Lucas that said that. But I'm not sure if he's saying he think he hot, but it said he's flop, and I think that's what he was trying to say, but I think it's subtly J. Cole being the way, but he could also be generalizing it, but I think that's what he's saying. I bought like Demi Moore, which I think we've seen J. Cole ball, so that it makes sense to a lot of different people. And then J. Cole says, "I end up switching the flow every fall," which I think is true. It seems that every time we get a J. Cole album or a sneak, or even if we get it, like if we don't get it in the fall and we get it in the winter, like December, January, his flow always changes. Like Lying on the Street, and then we listen to the off season. Like those are two different flows. But if we listen to KOD, it's weird, but it's true. Like like there are many songs we got. Like when he got on Benny the Butcher's song, I think it's Johnny Cassidy or something like that. It's Cassidy or something like that. And I believe he did that, but then we did Moneybag Yo. He switched up his entire flow. We've seen this before by J. Cole. He's able to switch his flow. Which I think, and so this is the thing, and this is my other situation with what we're talking about. So a Richard Mille watch goes for, I think, the same price. If not, it goes the same price as a Rolls Royce Phantom. So he says, "I don't need no goofy Richard Mille," which is, I think that's true. A lot of people, it goes to a watch every 5 years. So at first it was G Shock. Everybody had to have G Shock. Then everybody had to have like just had to have different watches, and then everyone talk and there's like people like club music that's going out and people are saying I got a Richard Mille. Like a Richard Mille is fine and goes great up in value. I think it could be a good investment if you do it correctly. Um, if you make it and customize it correctly. But he says he doesn't need a Richard Mille to prove how rich he is. And that's true. I mean, you could look at his numbers and go, okay, so where did that money go into? But then realize we don't really see him flashing it. It's not in his cars, it's not in his jewelry. Right? So where's his money going to? And it's just proving that he has the money. He just does not spend it. So that's an interesting take. And that was Freedom of Speech by J. Cole. Which I think, I don't know, which I think isn't a bad thing by J. Cole, but I think it is. It's one of the greats. Now to talk about a song I've been waiting to talk about for a little bit. And it is Big Trouble featuring with Dreamville and Cozz. And let me tell you something. Cozz, when he freestyles, is amazing. Okay? And this is one of his freestyles that I actually enjoy. Um, he talks about in Big Trouble, in the freestyle, he just talks about shout out to his sister, because they said, because they're, this list of shout outs he does. He does a shout out to his sister, shout out to Reason, a shout out to KOD, to Kendrick, to Zendaya. Like, this is my thing. It's amazing to me why I think this is amazing, but he says shout out, and I'm breaking shout that down. He says shout out to Reason. Him and Reason, no matter where you put them on a song, it's clearly a hit because they can rap. They can do that versatile rap. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and he gonna do that. Like, it's remarkable what they're able to do when they're together. Shout out to his sister, because he says that's his clone, and I think that is amazing. Showing love to family, I believe, is amazing. Shout out to Reason. And he says they're still releasing, Cozz and Reason are still releasing music because they are. And then he says, shout out to KOD for many things, and I think this is true. And to me, I believe he's saying thank KOD for giving Reason a shot, but also hoping Cozz get up. Like Cozz being recognized more. I think that's what he's trying to thank KOD for. He says shout out to Zendaya, and if you don't know, on one of Cozz's albums, I believe it's Cozz in Effect, he talks about the song in Zendaya where J. Cole is on it, and they try to get J. Cole's on this feature, and he tries to impress Zendaya and why she should go out with Cozz. And he says, shout out to Zendaya, she said that she loved the song, which I think is amazing that, she heard it and she didn't get any negative feedback about it. I think she liked it. But he said she loved it. So, and he says he's a Spider-Man fan, which I think that's funny because, but that's what I'm saying. I think I like the way Cozz raps this together because the Tom Holland and they are together, I believe, and then he's saying that Zendaya loved this song, and that's all he's gonna say about it. And he's a Spider-Man fan, so I think he's a fan of both of them. And I think there's no hate between them. And then he says he doesn't like half-witted opinions, and I think that's true. I think there are a lot of people, and I know somebody's gonna say you're a hypocrite, but there are a lot of people that don't really think deep into the lyrics about a song and how they relate to the artist and what the artist is really trying to say, and so they'll give an opinion like, "Oh, I hated the song," but won't tell you why or didn't understand that verse. So when he says, "I dare you to give your half-witted opinions," I think that's what he means. And then he says a bunch of A-list rappers heard and seen what he's done and decided to leave him out the way. And I think that's true. I think and I say this about Reason and Cozz because it's so true. Reason and Cozz, if you get him a space, Reason, Cozz, JID, if you get him enough space, Omen, if you get them enough space, they will control this rap game because they have a great mentor, but they also can really rap. Ari Lennox on the cooldown is talking about how she loses feelings for a guy because of him being addicted to drugs. Starting 5, they're just talking about why they think they're like their top 5 starting 5. and the other Ari Lennox song is just talking about her the way she expresses herself, which I think overall is, like as I said, DDAY is not a bad mixtape by far. I like the way DJ Drama put everything together. There's a Diddy beat in there. I think Diddy has credit for something in there. I think overall this is great. And Ari Lennox's voice can carry the track like no other. Like I think overall, D-Day, the D-Day mixtape, listening to it, the Gangsta of a Gorilla, or like Gillez, is something that we won't see for a few more years, right? Like it is undeniable and denounced right now. There are a few labels where you will look at a roster and go, "Oh, this roster is dangerous," because it is. It's like as I'm saying, there's JID, there's Omen, and then we have an R&B singer, Ari Lennox, that can do both. ASAP Ferg was on this project where he just tells everybody, "Yo, I'm gonna take the lead and I'm gonna spit on how I feel emotionally." Great, like great atmosphere throughout the entire song. Like that's very hard to tell me without this list, right? Well, we got ASAP Ferg, and then we also have 2 Chainz that are in here as guest voices. But if you look at this list, it's very hard to go, this roster was made out of luck, right? Because we have Reason, we have Cozz, we have J.I. Well, Reason is TDE, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you listen to this album, you're like, oh, this could be the roster for literally Dreamville. Why is it not? And and for that reason alone, I don't understand. Like Dreamville, with their festival not being too far away, like on the 9th, right? This seems crazy to me because they have Lute, they have Cozz, they have JID, they have Earth Gang. Guap 400, if Guap 400 gets back, this is an unbeatable roster right here. J. Cole, JID, Almond, Cozz, Boz, Lute. Like this is what I'm saying. There are many labels that could go, we don't have the artists or the power to go against Dreamville. Like if we wanted to, we couldn't. Like this is something I would like to see in a versus. If anybody wants to do a versus, later on in history and go, who were running it through the 2010s, the 2020s? Please, like this would be a label I would be happy to hop in a ring for and like really talk about, because these songs are great. These artists are amazing. Just overall, I think these are amazing because of the artists as we know them. Like there's very few artists that are like, I can't really mess with these songs for many reasons. But I did a Dreamville roster and I'm gonna hop off that Dreamville roster, but I'm also gonna talk about ASAP Ferg that just let it go when he goes, hey boss, I got this boss. You ain't gotta worry about it. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna do it my way. And it's the it's so he's paying homage to Eminem. He says a verse to Swiss and Timberland, which that's clearly Swiss Beats and Timberland. He says stunning and memorizing. Like these are crazy. Boss I expect a lot from, but in the song I didn't really get a lot. But ASAP, let me tell you, ASAP Ferg wrapped this around, and that's what I'm saying. Like ASAP Rock, ASAP Ferg, like this ASAP roster, ASAP Mob roster is amazing. But this Dreamville roster right here, this new one, JID, God, like, this could be amazing if we get a collaborative album from both of them, from TDE and Dreamville. But it's clear, Dreamville can hold their own. Dreamville can hold their own. So overall, I give this mixtape, one of the goddess mixtapes, is 8.9 out of 10.